Chuck, can you hear me? You guys are muted.
They're not there yet.
How are you?
Hello, hello.
Look at you, gorgeous people.
Just for you.
Dude, she even put perfume on.
I
bro.
put perfume on him so he likes me more.
What is that beautiful haircut? Tell me about this haircut.
Well, there's a new salon open in town. It's called the Yana Chernov haircut.
I heard about it.
No, it's hair by Yana.
Oh, hair by Yana. I'm sorry. I forgot my own branding name.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Leor's joining us. Leor?
Hey guys, how are you?
What's up, Leor?
Thank God, no complaints. How are you?
Day by day, man. That's a nice office, Leor.
Thank you.
Chuck, did you improve your office, bro? Because those, I don't remember those such nice windows in your office.
You know, actually, I wanted to be close to Leor, so I'm out of his office today.
Oh yeah, nice. Because that's too nice, for you, man. That's too much swagger.
You know, it's third episode. We figured we still gotta. It's a learning curve on how to do, what to do. You know, making sure everything's working perfectly.
Nice, man. Thank you for having us.
Hey,
Yeah.
should I go live on Instagram?
No.
Leor, we don't have live through Instagram, right? We have Facebook groups and.
We don't have it through this stream, but yeah, you can go live on Instagram on your end if you'd like.
Why not?
Okay, I think we have a couple of people joining us. I think Bert's trying to join in. Leor, I have to let him in.
I'm getting everyone in.
There we go. So you're gonna see a lot of familiar faces.
Who else is coming on?
So we don't know who comes on to Zoom, but we only invite personal contacts to Zoom, so we don't have any accidents. And then we are live streaming on YouTube and Facebook, so we have a lot of people watching there.
Hi, Erica.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. Oh, I'm not muted. Okay, good. I'm good. How are you guys?
We're very well.
Doing good.
How's Ronnie?
He's good. It was his birthday yesterday.
Oh,
I was just with Ronnie yesterday. He might actually join us because he heard you guys are on.
oh my God. I'm hoping to make a little bit more money so I can finally buy something from Ronnie.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Michelle.
How are you, beautiful?
What's up, Ribata?
I'm living.
Birdie birds in the house.
I think Chuck, I think this is enough, man. This is the only group that needs to be here.
All right, well, let's get started.
I think it's exactly 2. So let's give it about 2 minutes until all the final members get in, and then what I'll do is as soon as we get started, I'll mute everyone.
Hey, D.
Oh, we have D in the house. Very nice. Hi, D.
How you doing?
Okay, so we're gonna get started. I don't know who else. We don't know who's watching on YouTube, but we know just on the Zoom. Hey, Katya. In the Zoom, we have this group here, and a few are gonna be joining. So, let's get started.
I'm just gonna go.
Dennis and Yana Chernov. Are we on, Leor?
Give me 1 quick second. I'm just gonna make them a co-host.
Bert, where are you?
Bird,
I'm on. We're doing a serious cleaning right now. I
was
finally got a haircut today after 2 months.
I love it.
I got a little прическа.
Who cut it?
Dennis, Yana, we can speak in Russian if we don't want these people to understand us. Like,
Well, Chuck's daughter speaks Russian, so I wouldn't trust that so much.
Most Israelis grew up with Russians.
Yeah,
So I
exactly,
don't think
Bert.
you'll be able to do that.
I know Sabachka.
Sabachka.
oh, there we go.
Or who cut your hair?
Apparently that's illegal, so I can't say anything.
Come on, who cut your hair? We're all friends here.
His name is Ricardo.
Was he upset with you? That's my dad's joke. All right, let's get started. This is
All right, hang on. Chuck, let me just unmute you guys, and We are good to go. So I'll go ahead and unmute later. We're gonna actually keep it a little bit shorter this time in terms of our questions, so we can open it up to everybody else's questions towards the end. So I want to welcome everybody to our third episode of Rubbing Elbows. This week we have a powerhouse couple, Dennis and Yana Chernov, that took the time to join us and share a little bit of their success and what they're doing. Chuck is actually a very close friend, so I'll let Chuck introduce them and then we'll get started with some questions.
Well, I think everybody knows Dennis and Yana Chernov just because you guys have made such a big splash in real estate in the last few years. So the Chernov team, what else is there to say? I'd like to do a quick little brief version of your story, how you guys got started, how, your story, your journey.
I'll start, I guess. Lost you, Chuck. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I started in the lending business, in my junior year in high school as a telemarketer. By a senior year, I was a fake loan officer, running around LA County doing loans, and then just got into the loan business for about 7 years. So from the early 2000s to the 2009, we ran a mortgage company / real estate company. In late 2008, beginning 2009, we lost everything that we have because most of us did that were in finance business, and it got obviously very, very difficult. I picked up the phone, made a couple of calls, met a couple of people on the phone, and they said they wanted to buy some real estate because it was a recession time, so the deals were out there. And sold a couple of houses, and I said, wow, this is not so bad. You get to get out of the office, meet nice people, drive around, have some coffee in the middle of the day, and let me try this. So I joined Keller Williams Realty in Studio City. That was, I literally remember, I think it was November or December of 2008, and stopped loans completely and started practicing real estate full time. We had our kids, I don't know, 8 years ago, and Yana was home for the first 3-4 years, and then she joined the team and made our team amazing.
I was home for 3.5 years with my children, and I come from a background of managing dental office. My dad, he was a dentist, and then he owned a dental laboratory. I started practically their business, and then very young on started working at a dental office, and quickly, due to my experience in dentistry, learned how to manage and market, and was basically running 2 dental offices simultaneously with a dentist, and just built him up. And using those skills and experience after I was home for 3.5 years, I was like, you know what? I just saw the opportunity. A dentist was growing and he needed help. He needed someone by his side to have his back. And so I decided to come on and, just help out a little bit. This was never strategic full-time thing. I was just going to go on a couple of days a week, help out with paperwork. But very quickly, it turned into me being there full-time and managing and branding and focusing on marketing and structuring and organizing, because he was just growing, and I knew that he needed help, and I knew that he needed someone who's going to have his back financially, like in finances and stuff. So, yeah.
Awesome. That actually brings me to my next question I wanted to ask is, since you joined the team, you brought this new vibe that kind of wasn't there before. A lot of like glamour and beauty and sort of an artistic take to the photography, open houses, the big parties you throw.
Yeah.
What's about that?
Well, it's interesting because when I entered the real estate world, I found it so fascinating. I found it so much fun. But a lot of realtors, they lose that because of the stress that comes with it. So they can't focus on the fun and aspect of the industry. So, after it started out as a joke. I started taking pictures of myself going to open houses and broker opens, and very quickly my Instagram account outgrown Dennis's account, and people were coming to open houses because they saw a picture of what I posted in an outfit. So it's it's very strategic. I don't, it gives the brand the exposure, and so, and I love doing it. I have a very fun personality, and I guess because all the stress of real estate falls onto Dennis, I get to just like focus on the fun part of it. And it's not fair. I guess I always say it because, other realtors look at me and they think that, I do it all, but it's not. I focus on branding, I focus on marketing, I focus on running the team and the internal operation of the team, where I don't get as much, stress, I guess, as Dennis does in the whole entire industry. So I'm able to do that.
So let me ask you, because obviously you've done an amazing job with branding. We see posts and videos and signs and things everywhere throughout the valley and in the city. Do you think that this actually added to the bottom line production of the business, the branding part of it? And if so, what tips can you give somebody that wants to start their branding but really doesn't know where to begin? What are the first few things that people should do?
I've always said that you have to do everything that everyone else is doing, and then you have to figure out what makes you different and unique and focus on that and do more than everyone else is doing. I'm very innovative in that sense, and I always see the bigger picture of it all, and I want to do what everybody else is doing, but then I never look at what other people are doing. I just I'm like, let's go, let's do it, let's just do that. Why don't we do this? And it turns out amazing. And of course, I mean, at the beginning of it all, Dennis and I were very back and forth. He's like, well, I don't know how the wives, if I'm going on a listing appointment and if the husband is following you on Instagram and seeing the pictures and outfits, like how is the wife going to feel about it? Like these are the questions that we were having at the beginning of it all. But the bottom line is that it's a brand and it's an exposure. So the more people that you're able to reach and the more exposure that you give to the brand using whatever you have to use, whatever makes you special and unique and different. In my case, it was, I don't know, like the pictures, the modeling, the outfits, the shoes, the purses. A lot of girls like that and they can relate to that. And so they do follow me for that. But then, of course, the real estate market, gets the exposure because of it.
Right. Absolutely. So Dennis, do you do any of the do you tap in and try to get involved in any of the branding, or do you just leave that all to Yana?
No, listen, I think she has a big side of it. I do a lot of internal stuff that has to do with more magazines and letters and more of the hands-on marketing and strategies of how we could get to certain brokers and certain agencies and certain business managers and certain accountants, and more of actual business planning, where Yana's approach is, listen, let's give the house or let's give the property or let's give the team as much exposure as possible, because it's all about eyes. It takes one buyer, takes one client to buy a house, not 10, not 15. We're not selling a watch where 100,000 people could buy that watch who could afford it. We're buying one house, we're selling one house that only one person is going to end up living in and enjoying, and obviously that one person we need to find. And that's the goal with every property that we market, is how do we get the most people to see it? Because hopefully out of that group of people that see it that day or that week, one of them will either A, transfer the information to their friend and family that is looking, transfer it to their business manager that is representing them and will check it out, or transfer it to a broker that might know another broker that might know another broker that's looking for a property. So it's really connections. Right, and that's what social media does. It connects everybody together, and it connects, the clientele. That a lot of times the client will reach out to us and say, hey, that property looks interesting, but it's out of my price point. Now we have a client or a contact that's looking for a property that's not in this price point, but we have other properties that are coming up in that price point. So it gives us leverage and it gives us actual contacts to work with to create something out of nothing. And that I say for any broker or any agent who's starting or who is trying to get in the business, it's really connecting the pieces. It's connecting A and B, what Chuck specializes in, right, Chuck? It's just taking something and going, hey, who do I have? Well, let's connect it to this guy, and then maybe potentially that guy connects it to something else. its contacts and leveraging your properties to get more contacts is really our business.
Right.
You're referencing me, but I'm gonna reference Bert. Because when I got into the business, Bert used to always say, connecting the dots. You gotta connect the dots. And
That's all it is. That's right. We're just a business of collecting dots. The more dots, more business.
More business, yeah. And you know, your first question was, does the social media or does all this marketing and does it help? Of course, because again, we're not talking about specifically selling that piece of property. We're talking about finding somebody who has a certain need that we could help find. That's it, and achieve their goal.
Well, social
So-
media, it's very interesting. It's a platform. It's a free platform. And so many other agents are doing. And if you're an agent trying to make it in this industry, I don't think there is a question of whether you should do it or not. You absolutely have to do it, you know, because there's another guy who is doing it and next door, and he's going to get that exposure and you won't. So you have to continue to do it. You have to. And besides, you know, Instagram, there's Facebook, there's LinkedIn, there's Pinterest, there's so many different platforms, and you absolutely have to be out.
yeah,
Right.
I actually want to bring something up regarding these platforms, and Rosaline Cohen had a question too. So I'm gonna let's unmute Rosaline, because today is May 1st when the cooperation policy is supposed to be kicked in, and let's chat about that. Rosaline, you had a question regarding the coming soon?
Hey guys, just to let you know, I follow you a lot, and I think you guys doing a great job together and separately.
Thank
So it's
you.
a great combination, and you have a beautiful wife
Thank you.
and talented. So I see that you guys doing a lot of coming soon, Sherman Oaks, Studio City, and I like to approach that way as well for my sellers. And now that we're going to get the new policy, no coming soon, I was wondering if you have any new strategy for that.
We were just having a conversation about that.
We're starting our own MLS. It's going to be called the Chernov MLS. So we're no more SRER or no more CLA. But we were talking about this earlier. So the coming soon, we're on the MLS, we're going to be still able to list coming soons, and on SRER, we're still going to be able to list coming soons. So nothing is really going to change, except potentially having that pocket listing that you might not be able to share with somebody else, right? So it's just going to allow more agents to see properties, and those agents are going to be able to share more product with their clients. It's a disadvantage to us, right? But in big picture, to a developer, investor, or seller, it's an advantage, because now every agent is going to see it, not only the agency or the Compass or the Keller Williams. Now every agent who might not be in connection with us on social media is actually going to see the product. So yes, it is negative for us as brokers, because we're not going to be able to hold on to our product and only share with people we want. But for the sellers, it's actually positive, because now every agent who is not connected on social media, is not connected on Facebook or Facebook groups or all of this other stuff, is going to be able to identify that property and share it with their clients. So for the consumer seller, it's a huge positive, even though most agents are not making it seem that way. But for the seller, it's positive. For
marketing purposes.
It's going to go in coming soon. And at that point, we're going to do the same thing that we're doing now, except it's just out there more. And then you could also list it in MLS, CLA, or the SRER as on hold. At that point, they can't do that anyway. So you list the property for one day, you put the property on hold. At that point, the board cannot give us any violations or anything else like that, because it's listed and we can now advertise the property without it. So there's ways around it to make sure that you still continue to do what you want.
So I'm curious, and I'm sure a lot of people here are very curious. We obviously all got hit with this this surprise out of nowhere over the last couple months, having to adjust working from home, having to adjust message, I'm sure in branding and in other things. what kind of a message are you giving to buyer and sellers that are maybe afraid to either list their property now, or agents that are asking, you know, what should we tell our clients? What's that message?
Well, I'll go off. There's two different times. So I'll go in the first 30 days of COVID-19, and I'll go back to the last 2 weeks. The first 30 days after we got the news, and you know, we were shut down, all of us. There was so much negativity. Buyers didn't want to call. We had a ton of cancellations. We had a ton of renegotiations. We're still going through some. In the current day today, they were still trying to either put the deal together, or the consumer just canceled and even let go of their deposit without even caring for the big amount of money they have in escrow. But the last 2 weeks have been incredible. We're busy. We have showings at almost all of our listings daily. Some of the properties that we weren't even showing, that were listed too high before the COVID-19, we're getting less showings than they're getting in the last 7 to 10 days. I think this COVID-19 lesson, and I'm gonna call this a lesson, is teaching all of us, families with kids, with future kids, a lesson that a life without a yard, a life without an office, a life without your own nest is difficult and is not what it should be about. And I truly believe, I see this and I hear this from every consumer that we talk to, how much they want a yard now, how much they want a pool now, how much they don't want to be in the elevator with another family member. We're getting calls from New York, from Chicago, from all cold states that are stuck in their 40-story buildings that they can't get out of their apartments. We are getting so much activity the last week and a half, from so much positive activity, that this is definitely going to be a huge thing going forward. And yeah, so as long as they'll let us out and, you know, don't put so much negative news out there, I think we're going to rebound really quickly. And I truly, because again, I'm on the field every day, I truly see the difference in the last 10 days.
I think we all know so many people that live their life, you know, they prioritize. They think, you know, like, I want to travel the world and I want to go places and I want to be able to dine at the finest restaurants and buy whatever I want, but they live in their condos and townhouses. So this will forever be, you know, I was just talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and I said, we prior to COVID, we were living our life saying, oh my God, what if there's going to be another earthquake, right? We were all scared of the big earthquake. When is it coming? Right. And then we were scared of the 2008 happening again. Well, this is going to be another thing that all of us are going to be now worried about happening. And having that, you know, when you're scared of an earthquake happening, you're going to go and buy an earthquake policy, right, to protect your home. Well, if you're going to be scared that there could be another virus like this happening again, that they might not find a cure for in another year or two, you're going to live differently. You're going to think of, you know, I can't live in a townhouse. God forbid this happens again. I have children. I need a yard. Like, this could happen again. This happened. This could absolutely happen again. And we need to rethink the way that we live our life and prioritize. You know, home is going to become more of a priority for a lot of people. And I think people that have backed out of the deals are the people that were, you know, just looking to buy a bigger house or to relocate because they wanted a certain area. So those were not the necessities, but everybody who needed to buy a house, who needed to sell, who needed to you know, there's divorces that are happening. People are moving from different cities. Their children are starting schools. Those are the people that are going to need to buy homes regardless. Of course, the market is going to shift, but that doesn't mean that people are not going to continue to buy and sell real estate. That's just, I don't foresee that happening ever.
Right. Absolutely. So I want to dive in a little bit deeper on that, and maybe more specifically, if let's say an agent on your team comes to you and says, you know, I'm coming across potential people that want to sell, but they're using COVID as an excuse to kind of hold back. Do you have a message that helps them overcome that, or any kind of confidence to give the client?
Well, we show them what's going on, right? So, again, I could only go back to the last 45 days. The 30 days prior to the last 2 weeks, I would ask my clients, do they need to sell? If they need to sell, let's put their house on the market because there's active, great buyers out there. That was the first 30 to 40 days of this environment. I was asking the seller, Do you need to sell? Are you in financial hardship? Are you moving? You have a job in a different state. You can't afford the payment. The place is too small. Whatever it is, if they needed to sell, we would put their home on the market. If they didn't need to sell, I asked them, let's hold off. Let's see what happens closer to the summer. This should hopefully blow over, and be very patient with that. The homeowners, and in the last 2 weeks, with the activity that I'm seeing, we had a representation yesterday. Seller asked us the same thing. I would love to sell the home. I'm ready to move to a different state, or I have a job, or whatever he said to us yesterday. I said, look, if you're comfortable with people coming in through your home, then let's do it. There's a lot of great buyers out there. Look, my team, Bert, myself, Steven, Kevin, Greg, we all have great buyers who can't find anything because there's just a lack of inventory that's out there in every price point, from 1 million to 2 million to 3 million to 4 million. And there's nothing out there. There's not much available to show.
And you can't encourage fear. There's so many people who are so scared right now, and that's okay. They need to wait it out. They need to ride it out. But as we are all in the same boat, we're realizing that the more time that goes on, the more, I guess, I don't want to say comfortable we're getting with the situation, but it's like sunk in already. We're realizing it is what it is. There's nothing that we can do about this, until the vaccine is in place. We're just going to have to ride this boat the way it is, and if you're scared, and if you're don't want to, there's no word of encouragement of that. You need to be in your little box and until you're ready to come out of it.
Right.
You can't encourage them to sell their home if, they're scared of what's happening in the world right now, as we all are.
And
Yep.
speaking of these buyers, I think the buyers that are actually out there now are the most serious buyers. The buyers are going and jumping through hoops with the hand sanitizers and the masks and the gloves and going to see the properties out there. Those are more serious than the ones that are just strolling in, to a open house, or, clicking on a link on Zillow or something. These are definitely more serious buyers.
There was a great article by Curved, I believe, that talked about how the consumers are on Zillow 3 times more now than they were 4 months ago, or the first quarter of the year. I mean, people are saving, people are searching, people are looking for properties, and I'm a true believer. And again, I am an optimist, and I am positive, and I think I live my life this way. That we're going to definitely see a really quick, nice rebound. Of course, prices will shift a bit if everybody, if we do see a huge amount of listings come on the market at the same time. But I really think the next 60 to 90 days, when we were coming out of this, we're going to see a really nice pickup of sales. So,
And I'm curious to know, where do you see the market in 9 months from now? Because there's a lot of people talking about the effects of what's happening today. We're going to feel that in 9 to 12 months. What do you think?
I think it's all going to depend on each market, right? I think every market has its life. We're in the valley, so we try to control the Toluca Lake, Studio City, Sherman Oaks, Encino, Tarzana neighborhoods. If the sellers do not just start dumping houses on the market per their agents' request, and not reduce prices to the lowest and not negotiate because it's COVID-19, I think we will be okay. If the homeowners are going to be listing their homes very aggressively, and we're going to see more than 6-9 months of inventory on the MLS, then we'll definitely see a 5 to 10% price drop through the area. But at the moment, I could tell you, based on our calls, there's a lot of buyers between the $1 million and the $3 million price point, which really represents the San Fernando Valley.
Well, that's very encouraging, because that's the sweet spot that everybody's always worried about, because usually that's the price point that gets hit first.
Yeah.
So, from my...
I mean, even if the price point does get hit, I just don't, people are still going to need to buy and sell.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, gosh, with this COVID-19, the amount of divorces that are going to be happening. I mean, I could just imagine, people cannot wait to get out of that situation and sell. So, I don't, prices go up and down. It doesn't really matter. People are still going to want to buy and sell.
One thing we know for sure is we learn a lot about our spouses during this time.
There was a report that just came out, sorry about that, that bankruptcy, not filings, but retainers with attorneys, consultation agreements spiked by, the percent I heard didn't even sound real. It was like by 300% in New York. So there's definitely going to be, how do we say, it's going to be assets. There's going to be properties that have to be sold. The ones that don't want to sell are not going to sell. The ones that have to sell will have to sell. And whoever's a buyer out there, that market, can benefit from it.
And also, again, and the hard part also is with lending. If the lenders are going to be open to lending and open to the programs that we've had for the last 12 months, and the rates are going to stay low. I mean, there's so many factors. Rates go up because of inflation. Rates go up because the secondary market doesn't want to buy the 30-year fixes, 30 fixed loans at 3% and lower. Then yes, we're going to see the effect in the 6 to 9 months. But overall, if our government does their job and keeps everything close together, we will have a great year in our industry going forward.
So my experience talking to successful people like you guys, typically always have daily disciplines, right? You have your rituals that you do every single day. Have you guys changed any of your daily disciplines? Are there anything that you're doing differently now because of the COVID-19 and everything else?
Listen, we are in the same boat as everyone else. We have 2 little children. We are homeschooling them. We are still, I'm trying to run the internal operations still for marketing, and everybody else was working from home currently. And I mean, everything has changed, and we just had to adapt. We're no longer able to go to the gym and work out and have a date night and have just a moment to ourselves. So everything has shifted, but Dennis and I are very good about like getting on a structure. And listen, it's not easy. Don't get me wrong. It's not like we set it up and we follow it through. Every week we're adjusting it, and and we're very good about understanding each other's needs. And he knows what I need as a person, as a woman, as a mom, and I know what he needs, and we try as much as we can. But no, absolutely, everything has changed. I'm very confused how this is all going to go as a mother. My children are now they're saying that, I believe Harvard Westlake just announced this morning, I don't even think I told you, that they're basically going remote for fall. And this means that I am home with my kids. We're in private school, and I could potentially be home with my children till next year. That's a lot, and that's a huge adjustment, and I'm going to have to figure out a way to do this from home and to be able to get out. It's a lot. It's very difficult, but I think it's very important to be structural, to be organized, and just be there for one another, because this is very difficult.
She gave you the clean version. I've left the house 3 times in the last 3 weeks. I said I'm leaving. I've been kicked out.
No, I've kicked him out.
Yeah,
I've kicked him out of the house. I told him, if you're gonna go out there, because first couple of weeks we were all so scared. As I didn't want him to go outside. Period. I'm like, I didn't want him to go to see people, and he had to. And I was like, you know what? If you are gonna prioritize work before family and bring, whatever viruses home and exposing our kids to it, and then ultimately our families, we have moms, we have dads, we have grandmas, and you're bringing that home. And I'm like, I would much rather have you live outside of the house, handle your business, and I'll take care of the kids, and let's do that, because I don't see this. But of course, that was just like, I think we were all freaking out at the beginning of all of this.
So we've been working on different structures. She gets a half day with the kids. I get a half day, but it was impossible. I get an hour, she gets an hour. That was impossible. So we've been working on, again, this is just a working family between her and I. It's different if the wife is home, or if she's taking care of the kids completely. For us, because we're both working, and for us that we both have responsibilities for our business, we've cut out, the mornings are my responsibilities at home. I'm home every day till 10 a.m. I try not to take any calls.
I don't even come out of my room until 10 a.m.
She doesn't come out of her room.
I'm like, I need my sanity. I need my peace. I need my quiet. I need my Zen mode, my little area where I don't have children screaming. I'm not yelling at them to do homework. work and everything else, it's just my time, and that's has helped tremendously. For me to just walk out of at 10 a.m. and just I slept in, I worked out a little bit, I got dressed, and I'm ready, you know. And then he's very understanding of that. Where his schedule before, he was out of the house by 6
I didn't
a.m.
have a
before,
choice.
and now he adjusted to it because he understands that my needs are important, you know.
So after 10 a.m., it's my day up to whatever I need. And she's completely understood that. And so we've been doing this for about
A
a
lot of
week.
compromise.
Yeah, we've been doing this for about a week now, and then it seems to be working for both.
Working better. Good. Very nice. So I'm going to open it up to questions for everyone. Before I do that, start thinking about your questions. I do want to ask one final question from our end. What is the one tip that you give any agent, whether they're new or just really need to get a deal? Let's say I need to get a deal right now. In the next 30 days, I need to find a transaction. What is the one tip that you give them that can help?
I would say join a team. Join a team and be part of an established corporation versus trying to do it on your own. There's no way an agent starting out there can compete with a team that has the knowledge, the marketing, the branding, the exposure versus you trying to do it on your own. That's really like my one advice that I could give to all the people who are trying to start out there.
I would say team, no team. The biggest thing that I could say is I call it swim through the shit. Don't pick up just every shit that talks to you. Pick up the shit that actually wants to talk to you because they need something right now. So meaning that we have a lot of people as agents that ask us, hey, I want to buy a house. Hey, I want to sell a house. I want to buy a house. They're not clients. The clients that we need to focus on and in are the clients that need something in the next 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, but as a new agent starting out with the lack of guidance from
No,
somebody that knows
but the
what they're
question
doing.
was, how do we get it? The deal is you talk to as many people as possible to identify a person that needs something now, and you focus your full attention on that person, but you first need to qualify that person and their need to actually do something. So if somebody is losing the house, somebody needs to sell because of a divorce, somebody's going through a bankruptcy, somebody is moving jobs, they need to sell. That's your client. A client that says, let's test the price point and see if it happens, that's not a real seller. That's a seller who wants to see what happens. You're not going to make money on that seller. A buyer that says, I don't need to buy unless I get this type of a deal and there's nothing in that area for that type of a price, that's not a real buyer. A buyer that says, listen, I want to buy in this price point and there's multiple homes available in that price point and you're hustling to find them that property or that deal, that's a buyer that needs to get something in today. That's who you, as a new agent or as a struggling agent or as any agent, that's the people that we want to focus on and give our full 100% attention to and care to. That would be my advice.
Qualifications, qualifying them.
Qualifying, absolutely. Qualifying questions, why, when, how, why, for what reason, when, you know, the questions that are important to us as people who we don't get paid if we don't deliver. But
a very important question that everybody should start adding is making sure that nobody has taken advantage of the forbearance that the banks are offering. Because until, like you said earlier, the banks are going to be the biggest picture here, whether people are going to qualify or not.
yes.
Right now, there isn't a solution for that. They're still being treated as a missed payment or a hardship. And that's going to, a lot of people don't know that, unfortunately. And so they're just skipping the payments because it's so easy to do so. And the banks are allowing them to do so. But if they want to buy in the next year, that's going to be definitely something that will hurt them. So I did allow for everybody to unmute. So if you have a question, please unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and just go ahead and ask your question. Not all at once.
No?
Wait, I think Rosalind is trying to speak.
So let's go back to the coming soon. So I have new construction that we don't have a choice. We have to list it and not to wait until it's gonna be better. And I have like homes that they're a good fit for first-time buyers. But we cannot show them right now because it's occupied. So your suggestion is to put it in the MLS and then to put it on hold and still do the marketing?
Rosalind, you can now show occupied houses. Yeah.
But if if there are tenants, for example, and they don't feel comfortable having people inside their house, because people
That would be a question to an attorney. I'm not sure about tenants, but if the home is owner occupied and the seller wants to sell, we are allowed to show the house. We cannot show to more than 2 people at the same time. So, but we are allowed to show occupied properties. So if it's tenant occupied property, again, are you going to be selling it to a landlord or somebody who's going to want to invest in it with a tenant in place? Or is it an owner user who's going to be buying a property with a tenant in place? That's a different type of buyer. If you feel like if it's a deal going to go to an investor who's going to keep the property as an investment property, they don't need to walk into the house until the home is in escrow for inspections only. But if it's an owner user, then obviously they would need access to the property.
So let's say the homeowner doesn't feel comfortable putting it right now in the market, and he wants to wait until, you know, everyone actually can go out and work as usual. So this way we can show the house without the tenants. So I recommend to put it active and then to put it on hold.
If you can't show, but the thing is, if you're marketing the house, will you be able to sell the house, or would the tenant not let you even get into the home? Because that's a major question. If the tenant is not going to let you in, there's no point of you marketing the house, because if what happens when you get to the inspections or an appraisal or vendor's appointments, you're not going to be able to show the property. So that means you won't be able to fulfill the contract of your seller.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an important part that you need to find out from your client first. But if they will give you access, then I would list the property either on hold or in coming soon and start marketing the property.
Okay.
And also the MLS is not putting days on market, so the property is not going to get data. I mean, it's not going to have 30, 60, 90 days on the MLS anymore. So it's going to just stay at 0, which is very helpful to all of us.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions?
I was gonna actually ask you guys about what it's like running a team as a husband and wife, and being able to juggle that, you know, family fun activities, marketing, you know. But it's you kind of answered with the whole compromising and, you know, really making sure the other one gets what they need. If it's time to themselves, if it's time out, if it's whatever it is. So that was one question that I was discussing and wanted to bring up and wanted to really have you guys elaborate on that. But you guys just really hit that and explained it. So my follow-up to that would be, hopefully, my choppy, I'm getting these internet messages here. All right. So my question is, how do you guys put a pause your business and transition over to your personal life? Like, do you guys have your rule, okay, no phone at the dinner table, or no calls after 7 p.m., or do you guys have those rules? Some people need those, some people don't. You guys may need to, you know, like if you check out, you check back in, and you know what I mean? It might be like a tag team thing. So how do you guys do it?
There's
That question make sense? Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. No, 100%. There's 2 sides to the answer. You know, a lot of times it is so helpful for us to be in the industry together, you know, because obviously I run the internal operation of the team and Dennis runs the external operation. when we come home, a lot of times it's helpful to have each other there to discuss the business. There's so many questions that I have for him throughout the day that happen with marketing, branding, like where we're going with this property, what are we doing here, what are we doing there. So it's helpful, and a lot of times I'm so much more understanding of what he's going through being involved in the industry, because a lot of times when he's stressed, when he is, you know, moody, it has nothing to do with me. And I know that, you know, where a lot of married couples, when they tend to take that very sensitively and personally, you know, when the husband comes home and they're in a bad mood, they don't know what's going on, they don't want to talk about it. On the positive note, I already know what's happening, and so I'm more sensitive to him, and I'm more nurturing, caring towards that. But on the negative side, of course, you know, I feel a lot of times we don't have a minute to just be like a couple and talk about things that are not business related. Like, I just want to talk about, I don't know, like what do couples talk about that's not business related, like restaurants and
Yeah.
other couples. And a lot of times when we do get together and kids are finally in bed and we have that moment, you know, it's like we're all work, and we lose that. But we try to, you know, balance it.
Chuck, we've been in sales, or I've been in sales since I was 18 years old, right? I mean, all from the lending days. So we've worked much harder before kids. So we're kind of accustomed to this constant grind and constant phone calls, and we do our best between both of us to understand what's going on. Yes, it's very difficult. Yes, there's no secret how to do it correctly unless you shut off. I try to be home at least one full day every week without an actual interruption to go out of the house, so we could do something or go somewhere, parks, you know, museums, whatever it is. But yeah, I don't think there is a proper answer to your question if you're self-employed and you're running your own business, because you know a lot of people rely on you, and the time where people are not working, that's the time they want to talk to you. You know, when somebody has a big job, they don't have time to call you at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the afternoon during business hours. They'll call you at 5:36, 7:30, and want to discuss their life problems with their situation on their house or their financial situation, whatever it is. So I would love to give you that we have it figured out, but I don't think we do yet. Maybe one day.
So we're gonna actually leave
yeah.
it to one or two last questions, because we're coming up on 45 minutes. I want to respect everybody's time. So we'll just take one or two last questions. I think Jessica and Rosaline both look like they want to say something.
Yeah,
ahead.
hi Yana, you're so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. So are you?
Dennis, you're all right too. I am a loan officer, and I had a question that's really not COVID-19 or Corona related. What do you guys or your team look for when you guys first of all, do you have a dedicated loan officer or mortgage team that you work with? And what do you guys look for when you choose that person?
Great question.
It's a great question. I would say we have several, from brokers to lenders to bank officers that we deal with, and every situation is different, and we try to qualify that client to who they're going to need by their profession, whether they're self-employed or company employed. And we have different avenues. We know that bank or that institution will work better with that client. But I could tell you just the biggest thing for me when with the loan officers is just the communication and being upfront of what they feel their ratios are, and really understanding the system themselves. A lot of loan officers now don't know their guidelines from the bank themselves, and they don't study them. So when you ask them a question of what's the back end ratio and how many months of seasoning, and you know, what can you do here? Can they do an interest only loan? What's the reserves like? They don't have the answers that they need themselves. So I would say
Super knowledgeable.
knowledge of their own product and what their niche product is.
I think of all people, Dennis is really hard on loan officers just because he's been in that field. He knows that industry in and out. So he can very quickly identify people, you know, who know what they're doing and people that don't. And I think you get like very frustrated with people that if he feels any lack of knowledge of that industry.
But I think every institution, every bank or every broker has their niche that they're really go-to, right? Their go-to loan that they go to. Like everybody knows for whatever you do well, they know to call you or they know to refer you that type of a client. Like if you have a niche, you gotta have a niche that you're great at, and you gotta have some box that you just know how to get around and do. I think that's I think knowledge and experience in your own guidelines is important to me. I mean, at least what I look forward.
Thank you.
Should work with Jessica because she knows exactly what
And
to
actually underwriting the file ahead of time, which most loan officers don't do anymore at all. Where they collect a bunch of papers, they don't look at the bank statements, they don't look at the credit report, they go like, oh yeah, it looks good. They submit it to the bank and the underwriter goes, what is this? What is that? Whoa, there's a deposit here for 300,000? Well, you killed the deal without even looking at the bank statement yourself. If you would have told me that bank statement was no good, potentially there's another bank statement I could have given to you.
And that's your reputation that you
So,
go off of. So,
knowledge of your own product and underwriting your own product before it gets to the underwriter would be super, to me, would be super important.
That's really good that you say that. I actually think to just to add to that very quickly, it's also having confidence as any person in sales, whether you're a realtor or in lending or anything like that, having confidence to lead the client, because sometimes we're so afraid of losing a deal that we don't ask the right questions. But when you have that confidence and you want to be able to deliver real results and you do all of the questions up front, I think that's the difference between making a deal work or not. And people, unfortunately, are afraid of asking too much up front because they don't have that commitment yet from the client. And that's where sometimes we find a lot of issues.
100%.
So, Rosaline, last question. It looks like you wanted to ask something.
Yes, I'm full of questions with them. This is the question that I'm being asked every day. And I was wondering what you think about it. Everyone is asking if the prices will go down. I see that they go down. The existing houses before it started, prices are being dropped. But what will be in few months? I was wondering what you think.
Rosalie, I don't know. I honestly, I mean, I don't think anybody I don't think there's a smart, my hope, and I work off of being, I'm very proud to say that my team really focuses in one area alone. You know, we don't sell houses in Malibu and in Beverly Hills, and we just don't. So I could only keep my nose to the concrete or to the ground and to the dirt and really tell you about what's going on in around my sector and around our neighborhoods. I think, which I'm not sure what area you're in, but to me, I'm very optimistic that we're not going to see major price reductions in the hot pockets of the Studio City areas, Sherman Oaks areas, where people could buy a home with combined incomes, whether it's partners buying a house together or husband and wives buying a house together. We're dealing with a buyer that usually has two incomes. And when you have two incomes and you're in the market of two incomes, usually we have a better chance than other markets where there's one buyer.
Rosaline, I can tell you with certainty, I am 100% sure that the market will either go up or down 50%. That's the best I can do.
That's some good advice, Chuck.
And actually, I wanted to say something else to Rosaline regarding the coming soon and things like that. I know you're concerned about that. A lot of people are concerned about that. There's an Instagram page called, I was using it before COVID hit, pre-MLS 2020. You upload it there and you're able to kind of network with other people that are looking for what you have. So it's something else. I know we were sharing on like Share Online Facebook, but they kind of shut that down this morning. So yeah, pre-MLS 2020 on Instagram, you can see inventory, you can post your own stuff.
I'll be right back.
Well, on that note, I would like to
Okay,
thank
so we need
both
to-
Yana and Dennis for joining us. We've taken enough of your time. You guys have been incredible. Thank you.
She's doing a Zoom call with school, guys. I'm so sorry.
No, this is exactly what everybody's going through. So it's it was perfect timing. So thank you
It is
again,
what it is.
Dennis and Yana, for joining us.
Get him on. Sorry.
All right. So again, just to wrap up, thank you guys very much for joining us. It was a pleasure. It was always good to learn from people that are doing what we're all trying to get to. So thank you for taking the time. I know we went a little bit over. And next week, we're going to be here, same place, same time, Thursday, 2 o'clock. If you want, subscribe either on YouTube or just follow our notifications.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everyone.
Bye.
Have a great day. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.